Hi and hello, hockey fans. Welcome to the On the Blueline podcast. My name is Phil Bernardi, and for my partner, Chad Van Dersen, welcome. How you doing today, Chad?
Good, Phil. How are you?
I'm not doing too bad on this day, December 17th, 2016. It's almost Christmas time, my friend.
Yeah, man. The holidays are finally here, and we got a lot of games to recap, don't we?
Oh, yeah. Well, we definitely got a few to recap, a few to preview, and some news to get to, including suspensions.
Oh, man.
So, our first order of business is going to be that game up in Montreal that everyone is talking about. San Jose won 4-2.
You know, it was negative 32 degrees over there that night?
Well, I'm sure they didn't have to worry because they were inside the Bell Center. But Timo Meier scored on his first NHL shot in his NHL debut. He was the number 9 overall pick for San Jose in 2015. And Price was pulled after 4 goals that looked like on 18 shots, which I believe is the 5th or 6th time ever in his career that's happened.
Yeah, you know, he's one of the best NHL goaltenders, and he didn't really seem too happy. It seemed like in this picture I'm looking at, he looked at his coach, and I'm sure disappointment.
Yeah, that actually is a lot of the big news coming out of Montreal from last night is the stare down, they're calling it. Kind of in reminiscence of Patrick Roy staring down his coach, telling them that he's never going to play for the Montreal Canadiens again, and sure enough got shipped to Colorado, and the rest is history for him. He won 2 more cups, and Montreal's still looking to get a cup.
Which makes sense in that move to, pull a goalie after he's given up 3 goals in the first period, or in the second period, and it makes sense, especially in that city. I think it was the right move because Al Montoya, shut out the third period.
Yeah, I mean, Mkhitaryan did the right thing. He tried to get a spark under his team, but they couldn't pull it out. This is San Jose's 10th win in their past 13 games also. So, yeah, they've gotten hot. And we were talking off the air before starting the recording about Patrick Marleau, just backing up into the slot and essentially having Joe Thornton wait for someone to make the move, which Yemlin did.
Yeah,
he jumped and, Thornton was like, all right, you're going to come near me. I'm just going to pass it right into the slot. And Price didn't have a chance, so...
Yeah, that game, it definitely was one of those things where Montreal just let them go in the office, and you don't see that many games because it's not supposed to happen.
Right. I mean, I think that Montreal's players didn't come to play, and I think that's why Carey Price did the stare, and then he made himself unavailable to the media after the game, which also, is that calming the situation down, or is it making another storyline yet to happen? And see, here we are talking about it.
Right. Well, I think it's calming it down actually, because it hasn't. There hasn't been a whole lot of talk and all that about it. How it doesn't seem like it's really elevating yet. We'll give it a few weeks and we'll see how that goes. So.
Oh yeah, it's Montreal. It's the fishbowl, as they say. Everyone likes to look inside at you. But I feel like as the players, as long as, how do I want to say it? The players, as long as they know, which they should, know that Carey has their back, they really should have his, and they didn't. That was just the whole issue. It was just a total unpreparedness by the forwards and the defensemen, and you can see it on all the defensemen's faces.
Yeah, they're like frozen in time, that's for sure.
So while there's a little bit of a clunker there, out in Pittsburgh, it was a really, really good game considering Jonathan Quick is still out.
Yeah, Peter Budaj has a 2% save average, or 9.17% save average.
Yeah, his save percentage is awesome. His goals against is nearly flatlined at 2, which is 2 goals a game is really what you want your goalies to be around. And sure enough, they won 1-0 in overtime. He had a 39 save shutout. And even he, after the game, said it was awesome just for an old guy like him to to quote his words.
Yeah, I definitely, underrated him.
In coming into this game, Pittsburgh was the first team in NHL history to have a 7-game win streak in 10 straight seasons.
That's awesome.
Now that just shows to not only the elevation of the organization that Crosby, his arrival is, he's been there 10 years. It's 2017, 2007. They started getting good, in 07.
Oh yeah, and
after Olczyk was fired. So it just shows like they kind of have had stability within the organization with the players policing themselves. And don't we always say that the players need to do that and hold themselves accountable, like with fighting?
exactly.
Which we will get to later.
Hmm.
But the Kings win 1-0 because Phil Kessel is coming around the right wall and tries to take a little snapshot and his stick breaks, and then instead of getting a line change, he tries to get a stick and get back in the play. But 3-on-1 for LA, Tyler Toffoli just buries it past Matt Murray. Game over.
Yeah, it was unfortunate, and that was a really good goal. He had a lot of patience, got the right angle, stunned Matt Murray, and
Yeah, that's also something I think was underrated about Toffoli, in my opinion.
his skill
Maybe,
level.
maybe in my eyes, I really didn't think he was as skilled as he is, but he's definitely grown the past 2 seasons.
Definitely, and with especially with the Kings and their organization, they like those power guys that and get the grit versus the skill.
Yeah, it seems like he's kind of a more skilled version of Dustin Brown, but kind of is more calculated with his hits, not as reckless.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean he's got eight goals, 12 assists, 20 points, and 30 games played.
That's pretty good. Almost a point game player too, and that's he's I want to say on their second or first line even.
Yeah.
And then to be trusted on for overtime with the game winner, there you go.
You're right. He's definitely evolved.
Another player that has evolved, Yevgeny Kuznetsov, who made Ron Hainsey look like a dreidel, to use a little holiday spirit here.
Yeah, he did. I mean, it was just. I mean, that's another patient type of move that we got to see this week, and.
I mean, he literally is just like tossing the puck through Hainsey's legs at like maybe 5 miles an hour.
It's unbelievable.
He was almost just walking down the ice. It wasn't even skating at full speed, which usually is when you see the moves.
Yeah, with that big body and being able to pull that off. I mean, that's why he was able to do that kind of stuff, is because he has that big body
and Russian.
And he's
Let's
Russian.
face it. Nah.
Huge advantage.
Yeah, he was got hands, man. Him, Backstrom, and Ovi, who had a nice bar down goal.
Oh yeah.
It's a team that likes to have good hands, and I think they all drive each other to stick handle better.
They definitely do. I mean, and along with that, even though they got rid of Jason Chimera, they have a lot of grit now. I mean, they were pushing Carolina around.
Yeah. I mean, it was a 4-3 win for Washington in the shootout. Washington had Philip Grubauer in net. There are a few bad goals, given up by both Ward and Grubauer, but both goalies also had some big stops, especially on screens.
Yeah, there were so many opportunities in that game, and yeah, it was it seemed like it was mostly Carolina with the opportunities. It was I believe at some point it was 16 shots for Carolina, 8 shots Washington, and with like you said, with the Washington stick handling ability and how they're able to set up their opportunities. Yeah.
I mean, Washington just took advantage of the opportunities more than Carolina did, but Carolina did have a fair bit of opportunities their way. Another game, which I thought was maybe the game of the night, Columbus at Calgary. Now, these were 2 heavyweight teams, at the top of their conferences. Columbus,
Yeah.
still single-digit loss record, which is pretty wild to me. After knowing a bad Columbus team for how many years?
Yeah.
And now they're super good. I mean, Tortorella really turned them around.
I mean, they have the veterans. They have, all 4 lines, all 7 lines, so to say, with the defensive pairs. They're all playing. They're all contributing, and it's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I turned this game on a little bit last night. I caught Matt Calvert, his second shorthanded goal of the year. He's just covering the point, and I forget the defenseman's name for Calgary, but he just got too lackadaisical.
Was it
You know,
Giordano?
it might have been, or he might have been on the other side of the point, but he, was passing it over across the line, and Calvert, just did a little poke check and basically poked the puck, to himself because he got to skate into it, shorthanded breakaway for again his second shorty of the year, which helped Columbus to a 4-1 lead in victory to help move their winning streak to 8 games now.
That's 8 games.
Yeah, and Pittsburgh just had their 7-game winning streak snapped, but here's all these big winning streaks, and then a game we will be previewing. This is a little bit of a spoiler. Philly, more winning streak, and there's San Jose, winning 10 of 13.
Yeah.
Some of these teams really have caught in fire.
Yeah, and we all thought, these teams that are catching fire, we all thought that they were supposed to be rebuilding.
Yeah, it looked like for the beginning of the year that San Jose was kind of middling. Maybe they were hungover from the Stanley Cup, and you know what? I think they got their legs back.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they're definitely one of those teams. They're using their grit, they're using their size, and it's awesome to see.
Another thing I noticed about Columbus is it's kind of started from the back end out. So that Bobrovsky in net, and then Jack Johnson on defense. I like that David Savard. I think he's number 58 on Columbus for defense. He's kind of like a little bit of a Drew Doughty, but not too much. And then of course Dubinsky and Boone Jenner up front.
Yeah, Boone Jenner, put up a tally in that game, and he's looking. These guys are looking really good. They're rookies. Wenberg and Werenski, the defenseman.
Yeah,
they're playing.
He was recently the rookie of the month last month.
Yeah, they're playing like veterans. I mean, it was Wenberg who dropped the gloves, and they said that you have to get in the inside game, which is the fighting part. We'll get more into that, right?
Right.
But yeah, I mean, he's dropping the gloves, and you like to see that out of your rookies. And I mean, this is the result is.
It seems like John Tortorella teams usually always, the rookies will always go through a wall for Torts. It seems like look at when he coached Tampa.
Yeah.
And they won the cup. And then look when he coached the Rangers. Turned them into a good shot blocking team and defensive team. Because look at them now; they still have that same structure defensively, even though he's not the coach there anymore. They got Alain Vigneault behind the bench.
Yeah, I mean that's a really good point about Tortorella that I never thought about.
But going back to starting from the back end, you can see Bobrovsky. He goes 110% on literally every little play. It's good to see such effort coming out of your goalie, and that bleeds into your team.
Yeah.
On the bench.
I'm looking at stats right now. His goals against average 1.90.
Yeah, well, that when you have a goals against average that's below 2, then he's got a save percentage of .935.
Yeah.
He's saving almost 94% of his shots.
Yeah, I mean he's the heart and soul on that back end. No doubt.
Yeah, and the credit to the defenseman, they block enough shots, but they also let him see enough shots because he's a reactionary goalie.
Oh, that's a good point.
So another good game, speaking of reactionary goalies, Vasilevsky made the start for Tampa Bay, Tampa Bay, who was in Vancouver, and Miller was in net for Vancouver, who ended up winning 4-2. The only real big takeaway from this game, Dumpin was the game-winning goal. One of the defensemen for Vancouver was going to dump the puck and ring it around the boards on the left side, and he had one of his guys also on the left side, and it actually hit him, bounced up high into the zone, and it was still an onside play. Because the guy was in front of the blue line when he got hit with the puck, and the puck just bounces right into the slot, and Vancouver gets the puck and scores. I mean, you talk about a dump-in goal and lucky. I mean, besides having a goal hit off the stanchion and bounce into the slot, with the goalie behind the net
That's
in a wide
crazy.
open net. You can't get much more luckier than that.
Vancouver needs more of that too.
Yeah, they definitely needed a win.
Yeah.
Um, Another team that needed a win was Colorado, and sadly, my Avalanche. It was their 7th straight home loss. We lost 3-1 over Florida, or to Florida. Colorado, scores first. Feder Tootin, ex-Blue Jacket,
Yeah.
gets his first goal of the year. First goal is an Avalanche, and then it's just downhill from there.
Well,
Florida, comes with 3 straight, including the game winner, which was by Riley Smith. It was also a shorthanded goal.
that guy. I mean, that was a nice goal too.
Yeah, he
Beautiful
definitely, made Calvin Pickard open up, and he just, he threaded the needle right underneath the glove. And then the sinker goal, to make it 3-1. Pickard just was screened. He couldn't see.
Yeah, I mean, Colorado, they're just,
Can't get out of their own way.
they can't, man. I mean, Gabriel Landeskog has 9 points in 19 games. I mean, I think that's pretty good, but I mean, I think we need more out of them.
Yes. I was just making a face, but I totally agree. There needs to be more from the captain. Now, has he been providing emotional leadership? I think so. Him and Ginler are the emotional leaders on that squad.
Mm-hmm.
Last game, Philadelphia, Colorado. It was the double header, believe it or not, of the Wednesday night rivalry, and how much of that is a rivalry?
Nah, not much.
Philly and Colorado, but Landeskog laid a huge hit on a Philly flyer, and Voracek came in, defend his teammate, and Landeskog just took him back out to the woodshed and beat him like a mule.
It's exciting when you see the skilled players, get involved like that. We need more of that.
And see, let's go right into it. We still have one more game to recap, but let's just go right into the fighting part.
What was the one more game?
Oh, you want to do one more game first?
Yeah.
Oh, you're the one that's excited about hockey. Now I'm excited about it here.
About the fighting game.
So this was a game that had a storyline of family matters. This was the Islanders going up to Buffalo. It was Kyle Okposo's first matchup against his former team, the Islanders. And believe it or not, Okposo is John Tavares' son's godfather. And John Tavares is the godfather to Kyle Okposo's daughter.
Oh, man.
So they're godparents to each other as kids.
That's
And,
interesting.
Okposo did joke a little bit earlier. He's like, yeah, this is a little family matchup. And Jean-Francois Berube made the start for the Islanders. It was, I think they said his 15th or 14th game, maybe his 12th full game, including AHL and NHL. I think it was 12th game in 14 months. I didn't catch any more details about it, but this guy must have been injured or something. If he couldn't suit up for 14 months, 12 games.
Yeah, something serious must have been happening. We can try to provide more information along about that player.
Yes, of course. And of course, Halak was the backup. Leonard made the start for Buffalo. He had a nice toe save. If he doesn't make the toe save early on in that first period, I think Buffalo doesn't rally behind that save and doesn't ultimately win, which they did 4-3 in overtime. Ristolainen, his second game-winning goal in 4 games, and now he's up there with Phil Housley, Tyler Myers, with Jason Woolley with game-winning goals in overtime for Sabres defensemen. And he's already got 2 in 4 games.
That's ridiculous.
And Phil Housley has 3, and he's the leader. I mean, that's some company for Ristolainen right there.
Yeah, he has 19 assists in 29 games. That's...
This is another big stat that you're going to about. Ever since Jack Eichel's return, Buffalo's been 5-2-1.
5-2-1, and he has 8 points in 8 games.
I mean, they really needed him at the right time. And Leonard had an awesome game, and I rail against him. I'm more for.
You really do.
Yeah, I like Nilsson better as a goalie. He's more technically sound. He's not as much as a hothead either as Robin Leonard, but he came through. The Islanders are 0-3-1 in their last 4 games now, and it looked scary for John Tavares there for a second. Looked as though his left leg got rolled up on by his own player. He wasn't exactly paying attention to that side of the ice, and he had to limp off. And actually, he was injured on the play so much he couldn't cover his guy, and Buffalo scored a goal.
Oh man.
And then he had to limp back to the bench even after the goal was scored. So I feel bad for Tavares, but he ended up coming back to play in the game.
Yeah, he's a tough guy. Islanders can't afford to lose him.
No, they can't afford to lose anyone.
Oh, I mean, they don't have.
I mean, speaking of guys getting injured, did you see Casey Cizikas the other day this week?
I did not.
He got a skate right across the forearm. Looked like he got gutted like a pig.
Oh, man, you never want to see that stuff. Unfortunately, it does happen.
I'm pretty sure he came back too, and but he's a grinder on the fourth line, Cizikas. So of course. All right, so now the big topic is the hockey fighting, which it is nice to see kind of the goons and enforcers get out of the way of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Like the John Scott, George Peros, Derek Bogards of the world, rest in peace. It's good to see, like the skilled guys like Taves, Landeskog,
Wenberg.
Yeah, you want to have nice, tough. All these kids are tough. All hockey players are tough.
Yeah, it's just with
what degree
TV.
of toughness. Yeah, and of course, a lot of kids that are born in Canada and North America, and the U.S. We know hockey's on TV. We know people are looking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It could be a cult-like following, which hockey, gets publicly.
It's
as an
mainly
undeserved image from the other 3 major sports. Sorry, I had to think of my words there. But I just think, it's good to see that the skill players, there's more skill players. There's not, a team doesn't have to employ a goon to play 4 minutes a night.
Mm-hmm.
They could just have a guy go out there that plays 10, 15 minutes a night. It could even be Connor McDavid in the fight. He wanted to drop the gloves that other night against the guy that, what's his name? Manning on Philadelphia.
Daniel Manning.
Yeah, the one that broke his collarbone.
Is that?
I think his name is Dan Manning. Yeah.
Dan Manning?
I know it's Manning. I know his number, and I think it's number 18, like old Peyton Manning.
Oh yeah, I know.
So I think that's also why I get a little confused out there too. But he wanted to drop the gloves, and he even said it after the game. And he said that, and this is what the players need to police themselves, because he said that, he felt at the time, McDavid felt at the time, that Manning did take a shot at him to break his collarbone on purpose. And you know what? He said after the game in his post-game comments that whatever happened on the ice between McDavid and Manning just confirmed what McDavid was thinking all along, which also goes along to, a skilled player, Milan Lucic. He wanted to be on Edmonton, and you know what? Edmonton wanted him.
Because of what he does, not only does he intimidate another team, but he also helps with the policing. Now, with what we mean by the policing is, you're going to see more of the guys like Michael Hoffman. They're going to take their sticks and they're going to hit guys, and they're going to go, they're going to go unnoticed. But if you have fighting, you have a one-on-one show. You're going to say, you're going to make a fool out of yourself in the crowd, and that's what the policing does for the NHL community.
And speaking of Matt Hoffman, it is. I got confused earlier. I thought it was Dustin Hoffman, like the actor. He cross-checks Logan Couture of the Sharks in the back of the head, which is completely uncalled for. And you know what? That is a guy that needs to, quote unquote, answer the bell. Atone for his sin. Another quote. That's what policing of the players is. Unfortunately, Cody Eakin also got suspended 2 games for running Henrik Lundqvist. And there's another, reason that the players need to police themselves sometimes. Now, sometimes it doesn't always go right. Todd Bertuzzi.
Exactly.
But there's a reason that, the NHL still thinks that fighting belongs in the sport of hockey.
It does.
I believe it does ultimately as well. It makes the sport unique compared to other sports throughout the world, but sometimes, an official can only do so much.
Oh yeah, and I think that NHL has definitely, by the players choosing how they want the game to be, I think that's the best way to go about it. Cause,
yeah, I mean, they just Hoffman and Cody Eakins just got a little out of hand.
Yeah, it does, and if somebody was there to answer the bell, if Chris Neal wasn't on Ottawa, they would go 1-on-1. And
right away, New York had people going right after Eakins. It doesn't matter who you are. I bet, imagine, even if it's Zuccarello, and he's only like, what, 5'6"?
Mm-hmm.
I bet you he would go after him. You got to stand up, especially for your goalie, but you got to stand up for each other on your team. But now, let's get into some previews of this pre-Christmas week.
Oh yeah.
So before Christmas, we got 5 good games that we want you guys to check out. First game, this takes place tomorrow, December 18th, Sunday. San Jose at Chicago, 6 p.m. Central Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. I think it's going to be Martin Jones, excuse me. Here's me with confusing more people. Martin Jones versus Scott Darling in that. And as I told you earlier, Ryan Hartman of the Hawks got bumped up to the first line.
Yeah, he's definitely earned it. I mean, with the grit and, the way he gets involved with grit and, setting up the puck, having, Taves and who's the other guy?
I think Hoss is the winger. The other winger, I think.
Yeah, that's a great line, I think.
Yeah, because then you have Panarin, Anisimov, and Kane still on their second line. And I mean, it's going to be interesting to see which one of those lines Brent Burns goes up against, and which one of those lines. I could see the first lines matching up against each other. Taves against Joe Thornton in the face-off circle. Marlowe and Hoss on the wings going against each other.
Also Joe Pavelski and Hartman.
Yep.
I think Hartman might lose. But
yeah, but the good thing about Hartman is he's kind of the spark to that line. Even though Taves doesn't need a spark, he's got a motor that goes 24/7.
True.
You just need sometimes that young guy to do a little work for you.
Oh yeah, and with Taves being hurt and all that, Hartman picking it up like he has, it's great to see.
Yep. And so now our second of 5 games is Monday, December 19th. Now this is Edmonton is visiting St. Louis. This is 8 p.m. Eastern. Pardon me. I had to clear my throat. 8 p.m. Eastern start. I believe it'll be Cam Talbot against Jake Allen in net.
Yeah, Edmonton is with last 10 games they're 4-5-1, and St. Louis I know that they've gone 6-3-1. I believe they've gone positive.
So it seems like both teams are kind of even right now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, both teams have a lot of skill, and it's one of those games that we definitely would like you to check out.
Oh yeah, it's going to be McDavid versus Tarasenko, and these are two of the top point getters right now in the league.
Oh yeah, I mean, Tarasenko, the goal scorer he has 22 assists, 37 points, and yeah, I'm reading that right, 37 points in 31 games.
And then the next day, Tuesday, December 20th, we're getting closer to Christmas, but this is a day filled with games, and the one that we think is going to be a really good one, and maybe even the Eastern Conference Final matchup. Yeah. Rangers at Pittsburgh. I believe Lundqvist is going to be in net versus Matt Murray, although it could be Marc-Andre Fleury in net.
It could be Marc-Andre Fleury, but I know Henrik Lundqvist is supposed to start. I believe tonight he's supposed to start, so maybe he doesn't get to start against the Rangers.
I could totally be wrong. It could be Ranta versus Fleury, for all we know on Tuesday. But the Penguins looking to get back on track. Start a new winning streak. And then, New York, they're trying to hold on to that Eastern Conference lead that they started at the beginning of the year. And let's see if they can, light up the lamp like they used to be doing. I think they had 5 goals a game or 5 goals in 10 games.
It was like that for a good month.
Yeah, and then recently Lundqvist hadn't been playing his best, so they had to throw Ranta in net. So, yeah, I could totally be wrong on this goalie matchup.
I hate to say it. I know that you don't want to hear it, but I think Ranta is going to take over that net.
Oh, you think Ranta will take over as the starter? That'll have to be a storyline that'll be looked at, but I still think Henrik's one of the best in the world right now. And then for, of course, the Wednesday night rivalry game on NBCSN, we always like to highlight that game for you guys to watch out there. Hopefully you put your eyeballs on the boob tube. So it's going to be Washington at Philly, and this is an 8 p.m. Eastern start time. I mean, it's pretty late for Wednesday, December 21st, but, it's a kind of everyone's getting in before Christmas. Maybe they thought the 8 p.m. start was good. 7 p.m. Central Time, and then I think that's 5 p.m. Pacific Standard.
I don't know why they're doing that.
Nah, but I think it's going to be Brayton Holtby versus Steve Mason in nets. Holtby for the Capitals and Mason for the Flyers. I think the Flyers might get overmatched. Maybe we see their win streak come to an end before Wednesday night rivalry.
Yeah.
They play Nashville on Monday, December 19th, but by the time the 21st happens, I still think they'll still be on the winning streak.
I agree. These definitely are two good teams right now to watch, so definitely check them out.
And then our final game before our final game before Christmas, we got a dandy, Montreal at Columbus.
Due to the previous game before, El Montoya gave up 10 goals against Columbus, which after that really ignited this Columbus team, I believe, because since then they've been playing like we spoke before.
And I also think it's created a little bit of problems for Montreal ever since it happened,
Maybe it demoralized them.
Yes, I believe so. And, you can even see it in Carey Price. I mean, there's only so much him and Al can do.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely shows that they're vulnerable.
Yeah, it's gonna be Price versus Bobrovsky, and that you can bank on that because both teams want to get a W within this tight Eastern Conference. Montreal wants to hold on to the lead as much as they can.
Yeah, they want that on ice advantage, and I mean, I believe that they can get it, but I mean, how long they can hold on, I think Columbus is better built, and their work ethic is definitely better than Montreal's.
Oh yeah, I agree. It's definitely going to be a really good matchup to watch. So we hope you guys tune into that one for sure, and check out the other games that we preview. And Chad, for myself, I want to just wish all the listeners a very Merry Christmas.
Merry
Happy
Christmas.
Hanukkah also. Hanukkah starts on the 24th.
Huh. Oh yeah, that's right.
Yep, we have listeners all around the world, my friend. So happy holidays. And we'll get right back to you right after the Christmas holiday with some more game action, preview and recap, and as well as news around the league here on the Blue Line. As far as Phil Bernardi signing off, my partner.
Take care, Chad.
Take care, Chad, and everyone out there have a safe and happy holiday.